haven't been looking at the blogs. I haven't been listening to radio, because say what they will say. And others have now realized in the early morning hours of Sunday the 7th what I realized late at night. That there's a reason that this has all happened. Frankly, one that I was not aware of. And I realized it after reading an article by Laurie Kellman. New York Representative Eric Massa resigns under ethics cloud. It's an Associated Press statement. She writes here, later in the day, Massa released a statement saying that after learning he had a reoccurrence of cancer, he learned he was the subject of an ethics complaint by a male staffer who felt quote-unquote uncomfortable during an exchange with Massa. And goes on to write, the exchange reportedly had sexual overtones. Let me tell you what the exchange was. Because I now believe, even though no one has told me anything, and that's the way it works with the Ethics Committee in the United States Congress, it's not like a normal court. You don't get to know who your accuser is. You don't get to know what you're being accused of. Anyone can accuse you of anything. And the trade-off for that is that this is all supposed to be incredibly secret until and of such time there are findings of fact. That's the trade-off, because in the highly charged political world, anybody can say anything about anyone. I have come to find out that on New Year's Eve, I went to a staff party. It was actually a wedding for a staff member of mine. There were over 250 people there. I was with my wife. And in fact, we had a great time. She got the stomach flu. I went down to sing Old Lang Syne. And with cameras on me, and I'm talking 3 of them, filming me, I danced with the bride and I danced with the bridesmaid. Absolutely nothing occurred. I said goodnight to the bridesmaid. I sat down at the table where my whole staff was. All of them, by the way, bachelors. One of them looked at me, and as they would do after, 15 gin and tonics and goodness only knows how many bottles of champagne, a staff member made an intonation to me that maybe I should be chasing after the bridesmaid, and his points were clear and his words were far more colorful than that. And I grabbed a staff member sitting next to me and said, well, what I really ought to be doing is fracking you. And then tousled the guy's hair and left. Went to my room because I knew the party was getting to a point where it wasn't right for me to be there. Now, was that inappropriate of me? Absolutely. Am I guilty? Yes. Now, that staff member never said to me that he felt uncomfortable. He never came to me. He never said word to me. In fact, he never went to anybody. Somebody went to another staff member who was uncomfortable for him. It was a third-party political correctness statement. And then that individual, in turn, from what I read in the newspapers, because again, no one said a word to me, went to the Ethics Committee. And in fact, here I read, House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer said Wednesday that he was told the week of February 8th by a staff member in Massa's office about allegations of misconduct. Hoyer directed Massa to report the allegations to the House Ethics Committee within 48 hours. Steny Hoyer has never said a single word to me at all, ever, not once. Not a word. This is a lie. It's a blatant false statement. And that's what triggered me to understand what in fact is going on. I traveled in the early weeks of February to California to see my parents who are in their 80s. I got off an airplane. My chief of staff called me and said, Eric, the Ethics Committee is doing an inquiry, and they, in fact, are interviewing all the members of the staff. My first question was, is this an investigation? Go find out. The answer was no. Make sure, go back. No, there is no investigation. What is this about? We don't know. And, in fact, there was another ethics violation because someone released a letter under my name for fundraising, which is not supposed to happen. I authorized the letter for me to raise money for myself, not for an organization to raise money for me. It was a simple miscommunication. It was a simple mess-up. Don't want to use salty language. And the reality is, that's where we thought it was. It wasn't until after I stood in front of the American people and said, I simply can't do this anymore. I don't have the life's energy to put up with this. Did anyone say anything to me about a House investigation concerning this? This is what Congress has come to. The government is not our enemy, but it is broken beyond repair. It is destroying and consuming itself. And if you think it's not, if you think that's not true, then I say again, Hoyer said he got confirmation within that time frame. The committee received the report and reviewed the allegations. Never before in the history of the House of Representatives has a sitting leader of the Democratic Party discussed allegations of House investigations publicly before findings of fact. Ever. And then you turn to Roll Call newspaper this morning. Massa's resignation, good news for health care backers. And the light comes on that with the departure of Congressman Neil Abercrombie, who is running for the governorship of Hawaii, and with the tragic and very sad passing of my personal good friend Jack Murtha, mine is now the deciding vote on the health care bill. And this administration and this House leadership have said, quote unquote, they will stop at nothing to pass this health care bill. And now they've gotten rid of me and it'll pass. You connect the dots. You ask the question, why is it from February 8th until now, no one said a word to me about anything? Why is it that somebody who hears about something